just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Hello there, everyone. And hello to you as well, Mark. How are you doing? Because it's just the two of us, so...
That's right, we can get naked. We get naked and touch each other's wieners.
No.
Oh, wait. I'll have to wait till Thursday and do that with Jesse.
What you and Jesse do is your own business. And while I do judge both of you very harshly, I keep it to myself.
And we greatly appreciate you not being bigoted towards us in our love.
Not sure I described that as love.
He certainly didn't when I did this exact same bit with him. But anyway.
No, I imagine he took that pretty badly.
You know, we were it won't be up for a while. We recorded some canned source materials last night, and I was like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how obnoxious was I? And was I more obnoxious than Dean Compton, who he does a lot of the undisputed unspoken issue stuff with? And he was like, you were about a 9, but I can handle you. It's fine. I feel like it was like a reverse brat taming. I'm doing well, sir. I'm doing very, very well. Back in the gym again, lifting because I'm a man. If my arms disappear. Nope, that doesn't fix it. Maybe. No. Anyway, back in the gym, back in running, trying to change some dietary things. Been working on my TikToks. Haven't done as much with the podcasting, but then we're only doing this 2 days a week now. So there's not as much to do. But I'm starting to feel like me again. I had a really rough summer. I've had a really rough year. But this particular past 2 weeks, I made a concerted effort to starting to find myself again back in like April, May, and then had some distractions, had some stuff happen, and now I'm trying to get back to me again. Me. So me wants to be with his buddy and talk streaming Predator movies. Hi, buddy.
Hi, Mark. I reluctantly accept that title.
You're my friend. I like you because you're my friend.
Because you do this. This is why I'm reluctant about it. So tonight, as Mark said, we are talking Prey, the latest entry into the Predator franchise, that poor, woeful franchise that is so misunderstood. Mark, why is this complicated? Why? Why do people have to screw this up time and time again? This shouldn't be that hard.
I don't think anyone knows why the first one was as successful as it was. I think
because they're idiots.
I mean, we talked about it on the Long Road to Ruin. That episode has re-aired and is currently on this feed if people are interested in listening to the old audio version of it from Blog Talk Radio. We had Jason Offit on that show, and I think at the time we even said, like, these were big, meaty men slapping meat, running through the jungle, chasing a slasher, chasing a monster. It wasn't that complicated. We were talking before the show even started tonight about Top Gun Maverick, about how, like, when you give men what men want, men will come to the theater and spend their money in large quantities, usually. Like, it takes, we don't need to go into, like, a whole tangent on this. We've just said it a zillion times. It's getting harder and harder and harder to get people, both men and women, to leave their house to spend money. And now...
Especially with the current state of
inflation and so... whatnot. And so you really have to create a spectacle, but you have to create a spectacle that the vast majority of people want, and it has to be without an agenda. So why has the Predator franchise not been successful? The second one, while I think is beloved by some people, got away from big meaty men chasing a monster through a jungle. And then the third one was kind of fun, but it was, none of the people in that movie were big time action stars. It was like Topher Grace and Adrian Broner. Thank Brody. That's the one. And then
Adrian Broner is something else entirely, and in fact just pulled out of a fight due to alleged mental health issues.
Yeah, I saw that. It's kind of disappointed, actually. But that Predators movie, which I didn't even realize it when we did The Long Road to Ruin, but we talked about that one too, and then we dedicated an entire on trial to it. And I said at the time, I was like, this is a fine enough premise. It just has the wrong cast. And then that last one, where autism was a superpower, misses the point entirely.
Yeah, the less said about the Predator, the better.
Yeah. So, like, haven't they been able to get this right? Because they refuse to look at what made the first one so popular. I mean, for all the joking and for all the, talk of toxic masculinity and all of that, when Schwarzenegger was a draw. He was a big, muscly, accented action hero that boys wanted to be, and so did their dads. Yep. There's something to be said for that. Carl Weathers with his big, meaty, muscly hands slapping arms. People wanted to be Carl Weathers, and nobody wants to be Carl Weathers. So,
well, since you brought up the second one, we're going to talk about this when we get done with the craft review, but here's a little preview of this. The fact that this franchise has never yet come up with a movie that's even as good as Predator 2 is a damning indictment on everyone who's touched this thing since.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's a simple enough premise. You need big action stars that men will leave their homes to go see. They have, and I love Danny Glover. Danny Glover was great in the Lethal Weapon series. Danny Glover is a hell of an actor. And Danny Glover does his level best to carry that second film, but Danny Glover is not exactly a blockbuster action star.
I think the second one, we talked a little bit about this in an offline, kind of in a chat group that we have. I think Pat hit the nail on the head when he said, people didn't care for the second one when it came out because it was a different movie.
Right.
It more leans onto actual detective work and kind of the urban crime setting, rather than the more pure kind of jungle slasher flick that the first one was. And people didn't quite know how to handle it. I think time has been incredibly kind to the second Predator movie.
I think so too, but I think also recast that movie, get Danny Glover out of there and put, not Eddie Murphy, but whoever was a big black action star at the time when that movie comes out, and replace the side part. Yeah, put Wesley Snipes in there, get rid of the girl, and put another guy in there. Another guy that oh God, what's his face? That White Men Can't Jump. Repair those two up again. Woody Harrelson.
I'm gonna push back on that one. I think the female cop is necessary.
Why?
Because you get that sequence where we learn more about the Predator's culture through its decision not to kill her because she's pregnant.
Find me a better, like a Sandra Bullock, but not Sandra Bullock.
Oh, okay. Again, you want a better actress, fine. Like that. That's fair.
Well, I also want an actress that's a draw in the year that movie comes out. Find me the Charlize Theron of that time, and I'm with you. We can keep the girl. My point is,
that we'd have to go back and really look at it. But
you throw in Wesley Snipes and famous action girl of that era. And I think it's a whole other movie because you can keep everybody else. Maybe you get like a better villain. You get the Jamaican crime boss or somebody more popular. Maybe that's where you use Eddie Murphy or
leave Gary Busey alone, man. He's a great villain in that.
Or like throw a Arsenio Hall in there or something. My point is, this is a series that is held up by the cast. The cast is phenomenal in the first one. And then with each successive movie, the cast gets less and less star power, and they're still and they think that the selling point is the Predator itself. The selling point is not the Predator. That's it's like Halloween. You're going because you want to see Jamie Lee Curtis kick Michael Myers down a flight of stairs. and you're also going because you want to see Michael Myers stab a whole bunch of people. But those movies are not successful without Jamie Lee Curtis, as we've learned over the years. I think it's a similar thing with the Predator franchise. These are not successful unless you have a good cast for your audience to buy into. And that's going to play a huge role in what we're going to talk about tonight with Prey. If your cast is not somebody that your audience wants to see succeed and kick this monster's ass, then you're just relying on fans of the monster, and that'll only get you so far. And it's only going to get you so much of the audience.
Especially when you design a crappy variation on the monster like they did here. I've got to say this, man. This thing looked like crap.
Hey, do you remember watching? I want to say it was the Royal Rumble when Summer Rae came out, and me and Bailey and Sheehan all noticed she had like a sloped forehead.
She's always had that.
It looked worse. I thought honestly she looked like a xenomorph. We like that. I remember this because I just rewatched our TikTok. That's like one part of the thing I cut out where it looked like she was like losing her hair.
Is you guys making fun of Summer Rae?
Yes. Anyway, that's kind of what this Predator looked like. It looked like, Royal Rumble 2022 Summer Rae.
I could live with the skull mask. I really can.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a fine design choice. Once that mask comes off and you have to see the way they designed this thing after that, like the little the tweaks they've done to the general physiology, it looks like crap. It's just like the whole thing is the face reveal, right? This is the big component of the Predator. Like, and you've got these little like almost like prehensile tendrils that are just right here that don't even have teeth on them. Like
by that point in the movie, here's the thing. I don't want to be totally unkind to this movie because some of the stuff works, but by the time we get to like the big Predator fights at the end, I'm kind of like, I don't even care what the monster looks like anymore, and I just want this movie to end already. Like, and it's not that long of a movie; it's like only 90 minutes. But at that point,
let me go through the plot, and then we can talk about that because there's a point you're going to make.
Oh, it's 100 minutes. It's it's an hour and 40 minutes.
I'm gonna get to it.
Okay.
Because there's an important point there that I want to make about this.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of plot here, so let's very briefly go through this.
Girl chase monster through woods. Film at 11.
Yeah. So we follow. I forget the character's name. I want to say it starts with an N.
A busy businesswoman who don't need no man.
And look, the real star of the movie is her dog.
All right. This is Naru, played by Amber Midthunder.
Okay. That we follow mostly Naru and her dog. She wants to become a hunter in her tribe, and she is. I feel like there was a conflict of interest in the writing of this bit, because you can tell somewhere there's a draft of this where everyone is putting her down, right? Where everyone is saying, "No, you're a woman. Go do women's work."
Yep, go make us a sandwich.
And which is. Now, I can tell you why they cut that too. I'm going to give you all an insight into why they cut that. Some consultant, some advisor we're setting this about, we're going to do this about the Comanche in the 1700s. Some advisor who's like there to, okay, here's how the Comanche were, said, no, there was no strict differentiation between male and female roles in the way that you're implying. Don't do it. And because minority trumps female, unless you're a female minority, they had to listen to this. So I would almost guarantee that's why they did it. So again, there's a version of this where she's meant to be this empowering figure fighting the patriarch, and the technical advisor meant there was no patriarchal system within the Comanche. Knock it off. And they went, all right, fine, we'll listen to you. So she wants to be a hunter, and the general consensus amongst other people is why? Like, you do other things better. Why do you want to do this? Like, well, because you don't think I can. Like, oh God, teenagers.
Teenagers scare the living shit out of me.
How many more years until you've got one?
He's 11, so if we're talking tweens, 2.
You got 2.
Yep.
Doomsday clock is ticking down.
Yeah, I'm anxiously waiting for my Katie Kaboom years.
Fair enough.
So actually, my son referred to my wife as woman today. He was just like, blah, 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 woman.
I
And
assume
my wife was,
she then beat him.
she was going to. Hang on.
Good.
Hang on. I, father that I am, disciplinarian that I am, he was just like, blah, 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 woman. And my wife, like, clutched her pearls and it was like, you're going to let him talk that way to me? And I'm like, you cannot disrespect your mother until you're either emancipated at 16 or turn 18, okay? Apologize. And she just turns and looks at me. She's like, you're such a dick. And I'm like, well, it's the truth.
Fair. You are
Yes,
not
I'm actively
lying to the boy.
He got screened for gifted today, and he tested into like the 99th percentile. Apparently, he's way smart. So I'm pushing for him to emancipate at 16 and get the hell out of this house.
Out the door.
Go be smart and make money and go start Microsoft.
And support me.
Yes, that's important.
Um,
Please continue.
Anyway, welcome diversion. Again, there's not a lot of plot here. So she wants to go through their final ritual, which is to hunt something that is dangerous, something
Hunting
that will hunt you back. Yeah, a bear, a mountain
A
lion.
Yeah.
In this case, a mountain lion is something they stumble upon. This does not go her way. Her brother winds up killing it instead. But she saw tracks from the predator alien, which is here wandering the wilds, killing things that it perceives as dangerous.
There's a bit where, just as an example, and I'm making a point of this because the movie makes a point of this. In the previous Predator movies, it was acknowledged that the humans were the most dangerous game, as it were, and so it was there to hunt humans. In the first one, it's hunting, I think, Army Rangers. In the second one, it's hunting criminals and cops. And then the third one, it's hunting the most dangerous criminals it can find. And in the fourth one, autism is a superpower. Anywho, in here, it's almost like the Predator doesn't really know what Earth is. So it doesn't know about humans just yet. It doesn't seem to. This is what the movie seems to be implying. At least that was my take on it. So it's just kind of looking around going, there's a rabbit. Oh, it's being chased by a wolf. The wolf is the Predator. I'm going to hunt the wolf. And it keeps doing that calculus as it moves through the movie.
Yeah, that's very much what it's doing for a while. And so she goes out to hunt it. A few other people try to track her down and bring her back. This goes badly as they stumble across the invisible. Well, she finds it first as it murders a grizzly bear with its bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact it's just punching a bear, like, and knocking it, like, one of the greatest things ever. Just it cold cocks this giant bear and sends it flying across a river. It's great. So she stumbles across it. She escapes because it doesn't consider her a threat. And I feel like this is the point that the writer who couldn't make this about the patriarchy decided to make this a point. Like, okay, but how about this? The big, strong, indestructible, almost alien creature it does not view her as a threat, and this is why she'll get one up on it, because she's a woman, you see, and he's the patriarchy, and therefore he does not consider her a threat. And we all roll our eyes when she does that stupid monologue at the end, because it's really, really stupid.
I honestly, I listen to it, but much like when most women talk to me, in one ear and out the other.
Okay, see, I'm talking just about this in particular instance. You're antagonizing so many people. Anyway, they wind up intercepting and interacting with a group of French trappers who are also kind of
look. I deal with a lot. I've been dealing with a lot this year. This is my 2 hours of giving shit back. Don't take that away from me.
All right, just as always. I am more than capable of getting myself into trouble. Please do not tag me with whatever you're throwing at him.
Yeah, no. I'm the asshole.
Leave him
alone. Leave him alone. He has his own assholery. Attack really just me for my own assholery. Continue with your assholery, asshole.
How many assholes are on this ship?
Yo. My son will die when he hears this later.
Has he seen Spaceballs yet?
Yeah, I showed it to him and I taught him that bit. And I gave him this is why the show's gonna be 3 hours tonight. I gave him the okay to quote movies in their entirety, and he won't get busted for the curse word. He can't curse on his own. He certainly can't curse at people, but he's allowed to say the curse in the quote. So he likes to now walk around going, how many assholes we got on this ship? Yo.
That's fair.
Between
Between
that and the hour back bit that I taught him, he is going to be one obnoxious motherfucker as he grows up.
Dude,
I'm here for it.
You have violated the cardinal rule of parenting, just for the record.
Over and over again.
Hang on, no. Here's the cardinal rule of parenting, as far as I can tell. Raise children that if they were not your kids, you would want to be around.
But I want to be around obnoxious children.
Okay. You do not, and we both know it.
Please continue.
So anyway, she and her brother are kidnapped by these French trappers who use them as bait to lure out the predator. Big fight ensues. Lots of people die. Our protagonist is able to blackmail, sort of, one of these people into showing her how to work a flintlock pistol. He tells her, okay, pour in some gunpowder, not too much, not too little. It's a very specific measurement there. Good job. And then, just jam the ball and the ball and the wadding down a couple of times. That'll be fine. No, it won't. Listen to me, people, about this, okay? If nothing else, firearm safety, especially muzzle loading firearm safety. Seat that thing properly, because if you have Mark, don't do that. Because if you have the pipe and you have the explosive here, you need the bullet and the wadding to be seated firmly against it. If it's here, what happens when you have something very tight, an open space, and something else that explodes? You do not have a projectile, you have a pipe bomb. Please, if you do this, seat that properly. My minor bit of firearm safety tip for the sake of this, because that segment just killed me. Anyway, they engage the predator. The predator murders her brother in just the dumbest moment. She eventually lures the predator into an environmental hazard that she had encountered earlier. She then uses its own weapons to get it to kill itself, more or less. She returns to her tribe, a conquering people, with a flintlock pistol with an engraving on it that was theoretically handed to Danny Glover in the second Predator movie. And just for the record, I can't tell you how badly that bodes for that tribe, because the aliens had that thing. So they came back, they wiped them out, and took it.
Okay. This is a gorgeous looking movie. This seems like it was natural settings, on location. I can look that up really quick just to double check my math, but I mean, that's what it seemed to be.
Like the strongest element of this film is the landscaping and the cinematography in places. Hands
Absolutely. That is the most winningest element of the craft. It's a fairly basic plot, something the Critical Drinker mentioned, and I kind of half agree with him. He was like, his biggest problem with this, other than if Arnold Schwarzenegger could barely take this thing down and was bereft of soul when it was all over, how did this tiny girl make it happen? Okay, but that's not my problem. The star of the movie, whoever it's going to be, is going to win. I don't care how we get there, or I don't care that that's the outcome. It's in how we get there, and how we got there was fine. However, my problem with her is she starts out as kind of an obnoxious, semi-entitled little Comanche girl who's like, I want to be a hunter too, and they're like, no, hunting is for men, and there's a reason why hunting is for men. And I think the movie does a really good job of making the point of no, this is why we keep you out of this. You're like falling out of trees and shit. Which is all fine.
I actually appreciate that they didn't make her a hyper competent Mary Sue. Like, she sucks at most of what she does for a giant portion of this movie.
And that's great. She should suck. She should suck. So the arc that she goes on is more of a plot driven arc than it is a character arc, and that's my problem.
She doesn't change. Like you mentioned the drinker, and one of the points he brings up, and I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at for the sake of argument, let's just consider Predator 1 and Predator 2, and let's leave aside all the others for the moment. Both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny Glover are fundamentally changed by their encounters with these creatures.
Yeah, she's just successful.
Yeah.
That's it. That's her arc. She starts off as a shitty hunter trying to be one. By the end of it, she's killed a predator. Yay. However, she's not a different person by the end of it. She's just, it was almost as if there was a different cut of this movie where they had her up on their shoulders and like, carried her around the tribal land.
Where she single-handedly then doused in the blood of the predator, charged a Fort Bridger, wiped them out, and the westward expansion of the white men stopped.
Sure. My point is that's not really good character writing. She's not changed by this experience. She achieved a goal. The goal was to be a hunter. Go ahead.
She's a terrible character.
I don't think.
Hang on. Well,
I don't think that's fair.
Let me clarify what I mean by that.
Okay.
You can't tell me anything about her.
Sense,
yes. She's a woman. She wants to be a hunter. She's told no. You can't tell me anything else about her.
Right. If you think about, say, like Katniss from
Hunger Games,
the Hunger Games, we learn a lot about her even in that first movie.
Yeah.
We learn about her wants and her desires. We learn about her fears and her goals. And you root for her because she's a fully developed character and you want to see her succeed in this, tumultuous environment. You don't get that with Naru here. You
literally only remember her name if you look it up.
I only knew her name because I looked it up.
Yeah, like congratulations. That's poor writing.
So this felt like I referenced this recently. It's something that I listened to. I think I listened to our Everyone Loves a Bad Guy on the Hulk, and I said, they should have put like Ray Park in the suit, because if you just want to see somebody do action stuff, he's the best at it and he doesn't have to talk. Honestly, I honestly think Amber Midthunder was like wasted in this. She's a fine enough actress. They could have gotten like a Gina Carano type who, you don't need a lot of acting out of her. You just need her to be a physical presence, and she'd have looked a lot cooler. I'm not saying you needed actual Gina Carano, but that kind of type of person.
Yeah.
Another good example of that kind of thing, that she's a little on the thin side. The gal that plays a Taskmaster, who's a model, who very rarely gets a speaking role because she sucks, but she looks hot.
Hang on. She doesn't suck. She just does. English is not her first language.
She's not a great actress.
And her name is Olga Kurylenko.
That's the one. So you have these actresses out there that are bodies that are really good for action movies.
She wasn't even good as Taskmaster, because 90% of that is a stunt man in that suit.
Fair. In any case, but she's done other stuff like Hitman or whatever it was. Like a Scarlett, anyway, I was starting to say Scarlett Johansson, but Scarlett Johansson can actually act. My point is, they needed a body for this role that looked, somewhat like a Native American, and they went with this girl who I think actually is part Native of some guy, I think like Sioux or something like that, which is all fine, except that, again, she lacks in characterization, and then what she's given to work with, the stuff that works is the action stuff. Her running from the bear is the best sequence in this entire movie. It's great. That whole sequence with the bear, I think, is top notch, including like the predator fighting the bear. That's a pretty cool bit. When she's fighting the mountain lion in the tree, she's just kind of up there, and the tree branch breaks and she falls, and then she wakes up in the tent. So a lot of the other action stuff that she doesn't really get to do much. She's just sort of running this way, running that way, and then she whines about, Ricky, I want to go to the show. Towards the end, when she has to do some stuff with the predator, again, they were smart enough to not have her go hand-to-hand combat with this thing. And I was actually kind of getting Rey Mysterio vibes from her, where like she is utterly reliant on speed and she has to keep moving. And that is set up early on. So I think the movie in general is fairly well written in that it has a flow to it. It was paced well. There were things set up in the first act that pay off in the third act. I'm not going to take away from a movie that does basic screenwriting well. It looks pretty. My complaints are, and I'm curious to get your take on this, because I know that you are thousands of years old and were there when these Comanche were talking. I was just every time she would speak with the brothers and the other hunters, they were doing line deliveries as if nobody spoke differently 200 years ago.
Yeah, that's a real problem for me. Like for me as well.
Honestly, if you would put jeans and a t-shirt on them, it sounded like they were like kids talking in front of a high school.
Yep.
Like there was no difference at all. And I'm like,
there's a cut of this that is apparently entirely in Comanche. I think that would be better. It's all that and subtitled. Like that's probably
here's the thing. I believe you, and I would watch it. But we watch everything, including stuff with subtitles. You're going to lose at least half your audience if you throw this thing in subtitles.
Look, here's my only counter argument to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're already throwing this directly on streaming, who cares?
Because you still want people to watch it.
Yeah, but who cares?
And once they realize it's the entire thing's in Comanche, suddenly it's a foreign film.
Yeah, but again, like if you're
Robert,
trying to
you're the president of 20th Century Fox and the president of Hulu, and you answer to Disney. The idea is to get people to watch this.
Look, if people are paying for it, you don't care what they watch. You care that they keep paying for it. That's it.
Okay. Go on and make your point.
My point is that look, if you're trying to appeal to a big audience, if you need to sell tickets, that's a valid point. Not the most valid point given the state of the world these days, but it's still a valid point. Well, let me rephrase. It is less true now that that's a giant detriment than it used to be. It's still a detriment. It's not nearly the same hurdle it was. If you're throwing this directly onto a streaming service anyway, who cares?
Here's what I'll tell you. Knowing a lot of basic people that I know, they're not sitting there watching a 90-minute movie in Comanche, even if it's a Predator movie. Once they realize it's subtitled, they're like, fuck this. People watched it because it was a Predator movie and it was streaming and it was in English. Here's my thing. I get what you're saying. Like in a purely artistic world where you don't have to worry about streaming numbers, subscription numbers, et cetera, your point is well taken. And maybe that solves the problem of everyone here sounds like an American teenager. But that's not the world we're living in, so let's deal with the movie as it was. Everyone here sounds like an American teenager, and it really threw me off, including some of the ways the lines were delivered.
Yeah, there's some like soap opera line delivery here.
Yeah, there was a couple of lines from the brother where I'm like, I don't believe you're Comanche. I don't believe you're in that time. I'm not even sure I believe you're in the movie.
I don't believe that you're a real person. I think you're an artificial construct.
Yeah, like this was starting to feel like CGI at times, where I'm like, I don't believe these are real people anymore.
You're not kidding. It's a real problem. To say nothing of the fact that this movie is not the worst iteration of this, but boy, you can just tell when they're doing the member berries.
Oh my God. So Drinker brought that up. And somebody mentioned it to me when people have already, we're doing this a week late. It came out the same time as Bullet Train, but we wanted to do Bullet Train first since that was the more important movie to me. So we waited a week to do this. So by now everyone's seen this. And people were telling me that like there's lines from other Predator movies or the Predator movie that they use here. And Drinker made a point of saying they're utterly misplaced. Here's the thing. He's not wrong about the second one. But the first one where they talk about if it bleeds, we can kill it, that's almost passable. The problem is it's missing a line of dialogue because she needed to talk about I made the thing bleed. Because the line in the original Predator movie is, they see the blood on the leaf.
Well, no, and their female hostage tells them, when Jesse Ventura died, there was you must have wounded it because I did see blood, and Arnold comes to the logical conclusion: if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Right,
which is true.
Right, which is as badass a line as that is. It's also pragmatic.
Yeah,
if you are a biological being and you run out of blood, presumably you'll die. The xenomorph's blood was acid, but when they ran out of it, they keeled over. As indestructible as those things were, that's just a basic anatomy thing. So here's the thing.
And look, they put that line in this movie because it was in the original. That's it. That's the only reason it's there. It has no context here. One of them says, like she says, I don't even think it can be killed. I watched it kill a bear. And he just says, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And you're trying to go, that doesn't mean anything here.
Right. But here's the thing. It had bled by that point. That's what I'm saying.
We knew it had. They didn't.
No. Maybe that you fix that with one line of dialogue. She was like, if she just says I saw it bleed, like just give her that line. I saw it bleed when it fought the bear, or I think I made it bleed, or it's on its period and I saw period blood, something, anything, just blood. Oh, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Just recreate that damn scene from the first one, and you're fine. Yes, there's an argument to be made of can we not do member berries, and that is a whole other argument, which I support. But in the face of nobody has an original thought, and we're trying to, we're trying to pull everyone's nostalgia penis, then fine, then just recreate that scene. Then they created half of it as if they didn't realize why it's like. We talked about this with another movie recently where nobody seems to understand why something is popular.
Yeah.
And they don't understand why certain lines work in a movie. So when Arnold says, if it bleeds, we can kill it, it's as if nobody heard the setup to that line and just has utterly forgotten it. And they're like, we got to make sure that line's in there. So it could have been, I would like a ham sandwich on rye. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Same difference. Like, that's how bad that is. That is some lazy fucking writing, which is half my problem with this movie because it's shot well. I actually really love the principal photography and the aesthetic directing style. I love the landscapes. It's just a gorgeous movie to watch. But the writing of it is like 50-50. Half of it flows and is competent. The other half is just bullshit laziness. There's a second thing where they do the member berries thing, and that one I can't even remember what it is now, but I remember hearing it and I'm like, my eyes roll. I like sighed. A part of me died. I started sending snaps to my wife. I was like, yeah, I'm done here. I can't take this anymore.
Keep going for just a second.
So before Robert comes back, I just want to say, as far as Amber Midthunder's performance, I mean, they don't ask very much of her. She's sort of, kind of a bratty but stoic, half a warrior Comanche chick. It's fine. The rest, I want to talk about the Frenchman. I wish they had appeared earlier in the movie. I wish we had, and this is a structural problem. I think we talked about this with Bullet Train last week, where you want to introduce these bad guys, but you don't introduce them early enough in the movie, and when you finally do, it's sort of a rush job. So, like the French hunters. The frontiersmen. Why are we waiting till now to introduce these people? These should have.
Why are they even here?
Well, they could have cut away and introduced them earlier, so that when they are now interacting with the Comanche, it makes a little bit more sense. Like, yeah, like I feel like Hollywood writers don't know how to build tension in a screenplay anymore.
They don't.
So you introduced them earlier. Also, and now you're worried that the evil Frenchmen are going to bother or molest these poor Comanche. And then when they finally do, like, oh no, not the Frenchman, as we are wont to say. And then when the Predator wipes them out, we're like, yay, you wiped out the Frenchman. Here, they're introduced and over so quickly, you don't have any time to process or get attached to where their death is meaningful in the movie.
Yeah, it's not. Like, you could, to your point, you either needed to introduce them earlier or completely remove them.
I think that, but they were obviously introduced to increase the body count, because we'd run out of Comanche by that point.
They just didn't want to kill any more Comanche. They still had more bodies they could have dropped.
Either way, at the time that they are introduced, they're also far away from the camp, and so you need bodies far away from the camp to deal with, so that we can do more killing.
I'm just saying, there's plenty of. I mean, we don't need a giant body count. You just need what happens to matter.
It's an easy fix. Just have them run into them, when they're on one of the hunts for the mountain lion. And, instead of her falling out of a tree like a dumbass, she gets one-upped by the Frenchman, and she narrowly escapes, and she has to be saved by her brother Comanche by these Frenchmen. And they're the ones that kill the mountain lion. We're done then. Now they've been together. Now they're, now when she has to run up against them again, there's more tension there. It's like, if I'm just kind of spitballing and coming up with this stuff, there's no reason why professional Hollywood writers could not have. And the thing of it is this thing spent a lot of time in development. Like, this was not a rush job script. This has been in the works for a long time, which means they had a while to work through this. And I get the feeling like once they knew this, once after like the 20th Century Fox purchase and stuff was repurposed for Hulu, people just stopped giving a fuck. Like, this is Red Notice all over again, where It's like, as long as it's got good stars and it's pretty, no one cares if this plot makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I need to do a couple of things here. Well, I think my biggest problem with this movie, and this is not unique to this film, but it is a bigger problem for this film than for others. There's no weight to the violence. And it's a product of the overly CGI'd era in which film lives. And I get that some of the stuff they're doing, it's hard. I don't pretend that this is easy. But when there's no sense of reality, again, reality in this case just means I need to believe that there is something happening. I need to believe the physicality of what's going on, and I never do in this thing, ever. And it hurts. It hurts the overall presentation because there's no peril for our hero to overcome. When it looks this fake, then you wind up just with this like unbridgeable gap between. You become very, very aware of the externality of this. There's no weight to this. There's no visceral reaction to anything that happens here, and it
is a slight movie. Like you change the landscapes and make it just sort of on a studio, like shot in a backlot. This thing loses all weight to it. The weight is entirely in the setting.
Yeah, and I'm speaking specifically about like the action and the violence that you, especially for a Predator film, like you need those things to feel real.
Yeah.
One of the only good thing I think we said about the Predator was there's a couple of kills in there and a couple of sequences that do have that feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas Jane at one point gets like eviscerated and stuck on a tree, like impaled against one.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember that was the only other, because we spent so long making fun of autism as a superpower that I think I forgot that we did talk about the one good thing about the Predator in whatever year that was. It was 2018. There were some really vicious kills. Like that one they made straight up a horror movie, which, good.
In places it was a horror movie. In other places it was a goofy comedy, which is part of the giant bundle of problems.
How tonally schizophrenic that movie is.
All over the place. But here there's nothing. Like there's no weight to any of those fight sequences. You have her older brother die in the dumbest way possible. He goes from in one sequence holding his own in combat with the Predator to then immediately turning and looking at her and going, run. So I can stand here and die so that you can be the one to overcome this obstacle. Like it only happens. I got talking with my brother about this very briefly because if you look at the original Predator, like, we know Arnold Schwarzenegger has plot armor. Right? But it can never feel like he has plot armor. It needs to not feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to plot out a movie where everyone else except him dies for legitimate reasons. Why does the first guy die and not what? You kind of have to answer the question. Anytime there's a position where Arnold could be the one who dies, why is it not him? And you come up with reasons within the story for it not to be. Well, this guy ran off, separated himself from the pack, therefore he's the weak link. The bigger guy, Jesse Ventura's the big one. He's a little bit alone. Easy shot for a kill. Duke and Carl Weathers go out and chase him at one point. Okay, so this is why we're with him. Like at every step, there's a reason he has not yet killed the hero. There is no such reason here.
Yeah. I mean, he has a shot at her with the bear, but you can here's the thing. You're supposed to believe the Predator didn't see her in the brush that she was hiding in from the bear, except that the thing operates on heat signatures. There's nothing in that brush that would have stopped the heat signature. How did he not know she was there? Unless he didn't care.
I mean, the closest explanation we get to this is, again, this really, really unbearably tired and hackneyed, well, he doesn't consider her a threat.
Yes, I don't never underestimate a woman.
And it really is the dumbest thing. That is
really
just
is.
the dumbest thing.
Yeah. Like I don't do that particular hand motion a lot on this show because demonetized. but that really did deserve it. Like, never underestimate a woman there. Behind every successful man's a strong woman.
Getting it to kill itself with its own weapon, like that feels like an idea that's too clever. Like the writer thought this was a good idea.
Isn't it like every fucking Predator movie, it blows itself up at the end? It's caught in a bear trap somewhere, like legitimately caught in a bear trap, and it's like, well, fuck me, and then it sets itself off. Like the very first one, Schwarzenegger has set this thing up to be caught and trapped, and it's damaged. It knows it's not getting out of it. Schwarzenegger doesn't know it's got like a nuclear bomb strapped to its ass, and so what's great about the end of Predator is he sets up the timer off, and Schwarzenegger again can't read Alien, so or Predator for that matter, and he has to
intuit. Oh, this is a countdown.
Yeah, he's starting to figure out like Independence Day. He's like, this is a countdown. Oh no, and like takes off running. And and you hear the Predator's like maniacal horror laugh.
It's
like Jabba the Hutt.
Well, it's mimicking the laugh that Billy does earlier in the film as it dies.
And blows itself up. But it's not just blowing itself up. It takes out like a good football field size fucking hole in the jungle.
Oh yeah.
It's huge. I can't remember how 2 ends. I know he's on the spaceship at the end.
Well, 2, he tries to do the self-destruct thing at one point in 2. Danny Glover sees it.
Right.
Reads that it's a countdown and is able to he cuts off the thing's hand.
Okay.
And severs the device.
But that's now hand. 2 times the Predator is lost at the end and tried to blow itself up.
Yeah.
Predators. How does that one end?
I don't remember.
Robert? We may have. Or he's talking and you'll hear this later.
I don't know which of us that was.
You back?
Yeah. I know which of us had the little lag spike there, but one of us did.
Yeah, well,
either way,
no. I'll hear it back later.
Either way, no, I don't remember how Predators ends.
But I feel like that's the go-to. Like they did it once in the first Predator. We now have to blow him. Just like we have to blow up the Enterprise in every movie. We now have to blow up the Predator in every Predator movie.
Well, no, I just mean like that entire ending sequence where like we have the guided bolts. It just felt like the writer thought it was a cool idea to have a misdirect there, and it's not the worst idea in the world, but the setup for it is really bad. I yelled a little bit earlier about the creature design for this thing. It's bad. This is like the least impressive looking Predator there have been. It's
like in previous movies, these things look like the fucking Road Warriors with a vagina face. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, this not so much. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on?
Yeah. This one looked like more like Alex, and this one looked like more like Alex Wright.
You're making obscure references that a giant chunk of our audience are not going to understand.
I don't care. You got it. Chris Bailey will get it later when he hears this, and I'll get an angry message from him about it. But Radulich, why don't you like movies? But he'll laugh at the Alex Wright reference, so that's all I care about.
Minor bit of bushcraft for all of you out there. There's a scene in this movie where our heroine stumbles into a bog. Now, for the record, these things exist. They function pretty much exactly as displayed here. They are very dangerous.
Are you talking about when she's in the quicksand?
That's not quicksand.
I understand that, but it's the same operational thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So, for the sake of anyone who might encounter one of these things, and this goes for quicksand as well, every idiot in every movie ever does the wrong thing for the sake of dramatic tension. Because they go forward. Do not go forward. If you step into something, stop, turn around, you know what's right behind you can carry your weight. Don't try to go forward going, well, maybe another 6 feet. No, don't do it.
Well, that's that first step. It's a Lulu. Anything else?
Yeah, all right. The last thing here is this movie drags in the middle a lot. And I wish to use this particular film as an object lesson about the importance of editing and willingness to kill things. Because the difference between a tight 90-minute movie and a 100-minute movie that puts people to sleep halfway through is not 10 minutes. That the difference there is enormous. So again, if we compare the first Predator movie, which is 90 minutes, give or take, and is like, that's an incredibly tight script.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fat on that. There's no fat on that movie at all. Every scene serves a purpose. Every scene drives things forward.
You could make the argument maybe the helicopter stuff is a little unwieldy, but that's also character building, that's character interaction, and funny as shit.
Yeah, and again, like, because you have to care about these characters when they start dying. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you get, like, that's important. Establishing the characters is important.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think it's that unwieldy. Like, I've seen that same scene done much, much worse.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I'm picturing an audience I'm picturing an audience now with less patience for letting a scene breathe, not being able to get through that scene. Like, come on, get to the killing already. You know what I mean?
And those are the same idiots who are who's calling this like the best entry into the Predator franchise, despite this being much. Fair enough. But yeah, this movie needed the script needed a serious go through to hack away the final 10 minutes. Because if you shave 10 minutes off of Prey, you find a much better movie in there. Like the bloat on this, and like we said, this thing's 100 minutes. It's not a long movie, but boy, does this thing drag.
Yeah, I told you, it kind of like loses me. Like it lost me enough towards the end of the middle that when we got to the third act, I was like, just kind of looking around my bedroom, petting my dog, eating my Chinese food, leftovers.
Also, for some reason, we just like when the French trappers are trying to draw the Predator out. For some reason, we're now in like the one, like football, like not even a football, like let's call it a football-sized area of this forest that's burned. Like, why? Why are we? why is this here? Why did we change this? Well, it looks cool. No. Why? Like, answer the question. Why did you do this? Why is this here? And there is no answer.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. I'm curious what your thought about this is. Not to sound like I don't want to sound like an incel or like an anti-woman person or whatever the
considering everything else you've said on this podcast.
Who, me? I don't want to come across as like I don't like women, but there's so many of these movies now where the action lead is a dainty gal, because Hollywood is into, but why can't women do action stuff?
Look,
I mean, here's the thing. It's not that it hasn't been tried. And it's not, look, not every action movie starring a man does well. Not every action movie starring a female does well. So I'm not saying don't try. And I'm not saying don't look for projects where women would be successful, because I think it's look, the Terminator movies were the old ones with Angelina Jolie, not these new pieces of shit. But the old ones with Angelina Jolie were successful. There has been some, the occasional. Yeah. There have been some Charlize Theron and Scarlett Johansson action vehicles that were successful. Not so much Jennifer Garner, but they've certainly tried with her. Yeah. My point is that you're sitting there and you're trying to refresh a lot of these old properties. You're trying to pull stuff off the IP shelf and do something with them, and everyone just kind of goes to the same well. Oh, well, we haven't done Girl Does Predator yet. And we keep doing this, and it's varying degrees of unsuccessful. It just makes me wonder, like, beyond not everything has to be agenda driven, nor is that always the excuse. I know that's the drinkers thing, the message, and all of that.
Well, but it's a thing. Like, I mean,
it is.
But yelled about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's not happening, but I think sometimes decisions are made. And it really is like, well, we've tried a male in this, in this role every single time. Why not try a female and see if we can get a new audience with this? And I'm wondering if maybe put a little bit more thought into this. Like, you're sitting here with a male-oriented action franchise. think about what the men want. That's all I'm saying. Do men want to see a girl in the action lead role? More often than not, no. They want to see themselves. Boys want to see themselves. Men want to see themselves or what they wish to be in these roles. And I guess you to your point of who cares? It's going to go on a streaming service anyway. Okay, but again, do you want to make a movie that has mass appeal or don't you? So well, I wonder how much better this movie is if the role is given to a hot young male actor that boys would want to be like and men would want to be like, as opposed to Amber Midthunder.
I don't think it helps that much. I think the flaws endemic in this movie are just essentially insurmountable.
Mm-hmm. So imagine Native American Chris Hemsworth in this role as just a fantasy.
I'm not saying that you couldn't improve as a but I am saying we're not talking about does the first Predator movie succeed without Arnold? Probably not.
Right.
But everything about the movie itself is still tight enough and still good enough that you would still find success. You would not find what you did find.
Right.
Here, it's just not a good. There's nothing really good about this apart from the scenery. So I don't think it matters who you get there to try and dress this up. You might find more success, but you wouldn't find real success.
Well, the story is about a girl who wants to be a hunter like the boys. If it's already a dude, it's changed the story somewhat. And maybe it's about something else. It's about, someone dealing with trauma in some way, or avenging a lost brother. I'm wondering how much of a turnoff this movie was for people, because it is about some girl wanting to be up with the dudes, and guys are just like, enough already. Please just go be girls. Just stop trying to be guys, be girls already. And these are thought exercises. Well, I'm not taking a hard stance. I'm throwing ideas out because I actually talk to other guys, a lot of them.
Here's the problem with a lot of the mentality that goes into putting these traditionally male roles into casting women in them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't change what needs to be changed. You can have a female-led action movie. What guy doesn't love the Terminator?
Right. Or Aliens.
Yeah. These are great movies, beloved, and their leads are functionally women. Those are the driving.
Let's talk about Linda Hamilton and Terminator 2 for a minute. How many times does she go head to head with the Terminator? None. 0.
Once. In the finale sequence, she squares off with him and doesn't win.
Right. Well, I'm talking T2.
No, that's what I mean. She squares off with Robert Patrick at the end of the movie, when they're in the steel plant, and it doesn't really go her way. She ambushes it later on, and it partially goes her way. But yeah, she almost never goes I can fight you hand to hand. No.
No, it's a lot of running from the thing. What's badass about Linda Hamilton in the first 2 movies, and the first one's more of a horror action than it is straight action, and the second one's just action. But what's great about Linda Hamilton is there's no pretense that she can go head to head with this giant killer robot. It is all, I have to outthink this thing or outrun it or both, or I'm dead.
Yep.
Pretty
much ditto with Ripley and Aliens. She becomes competent with tools and weaponry and tactics that allow her to have a chance.
Right. I mean, that ending sequence where she gets into the forklift robot and she's like, "Get away from her, you bitch," is one of the most iconic lines in Hollywood history. But you think about what all led up to that.
Yeah.
She never once goes head to head or has any sort of damaging impact on any of the xenomorphs. And she is trying to save Newt. And so it's a desperate act to try to stand up to this thing and give her at least half a chance, the alien queen in this particular case. And even in the end of it, she basically ties the thing up and then shoves it out an airlock.
Well, that's the only
Like,
way
she doesn't win that fight. She gives up and and yeets out of the suit.
Look, I'll give her the win in that one because she's the one who opens the airlock. She's the one who but to your point,
She doesn't punch the thing to death.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, that in that way, yeah, she does not use the suit to then crush its skull and win.
Right.
There's still a lot more that goes into that. You can do a female-led Predator movie. You absolutely could.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't go into it with the fundamental conceit that I will write this character basically the way they wrote Arnold and Lobster.
Lobster. I actually think trying to make her a hunter was dumb. I think she needed to be dragged into this kicking and screaming, and the only reason why she ended up fighting the Predator was because there was no one left.
Yeah,
all the hunters were killed.
She gets dragged along because they established this. She's good at, she is pretty good as a medic. Like, she understands medicine.
She's also, I think they said she's also a good tracker. Like, she's picking up on details that they're missing.
Yeah, so invent a reason to bring her along. Have her not really want to.
Right. I want to stay here. Actually, if she starts off with, I wanted to stay here and make sandwiches, and they're like, no, we need you because you're actually a good tracker and we don't have a good one. And, you know, or your opening scene is the one good tracker gets fucking mauled by a predator.
Yeah, no. Like, she needs to be the third string.
Yeah.
Like we open with the first string getting killed.
Right.
Then she's in the background. She's in the background of the scene where the second, like, they send a few people out to go look for this group of people, figure out what happened. One of them comes back, maybe your brother, like the sole survivor. He comes back and like, all right, we're going out again, and he grabs her by the scruff of the neck and says, "Come on."
She's like, "No, I want to stay here and make pretty things. No, we need you." And she through use of cunning is able to survive and ends up like tricking the and then we can end in the same place. It tricks the predator into killing itself. That's all fine. This idea that women are strong and wonderful and great. Now that I've said that, but they're strong and wonderful and great in ways that are different than men. They are not physically stronger than men. Can we stop with that pretense?
Yeah.
What makes women able to beat men is, again, I kind of go back to the Rey Mysterio thing. Rey Mysterio relied on speed and agility in order to take down bigger opponents. Like, he would run around them and kick them in the knees and shit.
Look,
what makes women able to take down men is the ability to use all their other attributes against men, not try to stand and equal to men. You can't. You're not biologically able to. Can we stop with this already?
It would be nice if we could. Last thing, this annoyed me. Her little, like, tomahawk that has a rope attached to it. Watch those scenes again of her throwing that and calling it back. It's the laziest editing possible. She throws that thing, it goes in a straight line and comes back on a straight line.
Right, like it's like a spring-loaded yo-yo or some shit.
Like they just rewound the shot. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Awful. All right, you ready for the money?
I think the last thing, because I mentioned this earlier, if we're going to talk about where this thing ranks in the overall franchise, I put this roughly on par with Predators.
Yeah, I agree.
They both fail in very, very different ways, so which one you prefer is largely just which one. It's just personal preference. Like, how do you prefer your movies fail?
Yeah.
I don't mean that unkindly, but it's which of these things do you like more? Again, the fact that no one has been able to make a movie in this franchise that even touches the sequel is just shame on all of you. Shame on all of you.
It's a pox in all your families. All right, here we go. Here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
But drinker, you say, you magnificent so-and-so.
You need to write one of those out if you want to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You can't ad-lib that.
No, and I honestly just thought of it. You might be saying to yourself, "Is this my beautiful house?" No, you might also be saying, "But there is no money. This went to streaming, you dumb shits." No, we know. There is no money to be had. There's no budget to talk about. I mean, there is a budget, but it's not public that I could find. But I initially was gonna cut these segments or double up in movies, and I was like, you know what? I'm the only one overthinking these things, and let's just be cool and be groovy. But I like talking about the weekend in film, and so obviously Prey doesn't weigh into that. Prey came out 2 weeks ago at the same time as Bullet Train. Other stuff did come out this weekend, so let's talk about it. Let's see where we are worldwide instead of not doing this for 6 weeks and they're like, holy shit, Morbius finally crossed the billion.
The third release was the key.
Yeah, it's Morbin time finally. All right, so the weekend of August 12th through the 14th. Bullet Train maintained its number one spot. The new this week, real quick, Fall debuted at number 10 for Lionsgate. Some Indian movie.
That's a poor debut.
Yeah, that's a bomb. Lal Singh Chadha debuted at number 12.
Look, here's the only thing in favor of Fall.
Mm-hmm.
If it's got a small enough budget, they'll be fine.
Yeah. E.T.'s 2022 re-release debuted at number 13. Mac and Rita debuted at number 14. Emily the Criminal 16. Inuo at 20. Emergency Declaration at 22. Summering 29. Gossamer Folds 36. And Let the Little Light Shine at 37. And Bloom Up at number 50. So nothing that debuted this week in theaters, whether in limited or wide release, made in any way, shape, or form any kind of impact ever. However, as I said, Bullet Train in its second week was the number one movie. And I shared a bunch of this stuff on Facebook. So for those of you who are interested in what's going on in the news, but don't necessarily want to follow the trade yourself, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I share all that. I reshare all that stuff from like Variety and Hollywood Reporter and whatnot. And some of the other Twitter feeds that deal with movie exhibition. And one of the things it talked about was the summer blockbuster season is officially over. Like, there's nothing anymore, and this is the drizzling shits of August. Top Gun Maverick jumped from 6 to 2 again in 12 weeks. 12 weeks in the theaters currently, and it's
still taking in money.
Yes, and I think it's either just about or has already passed Infinity War is the highest earner of all time. DC League of Super Pets fell from 2 to 3. Thor: Love and Thunder maintained its spot at 4. My wife was actually talking to me about wanting to watch that, and I said, we haven't quite hit 45 days yet. It's like another week or two. Nope fell from 3 to 5. Minions 5 to 6. Where the Crawdads sang, currently at number 7 for a second week in a row. Bodies must have jumped from wide release to
Where the Crawdads sing is about to pass Morbius.
I hope. Bodies went from limited. Okay. No. Went from limited. Let me finish the sentence. Went from limited release to wide release. Obviously, it went up like 1,300 some odd theaters. It looks like, or 1,300% at 1,200 plus theaters. So that jumped from 16 to 8. Go.
Our new gag needs to be anything that beats Morbius is automatically entered into the MCU canon now.
Okay.
That's how this works, right?
Yep. Fall, like I said, debuted at number 10. Easter Sunday dropped from 8 to 11. Boy, if there was a movie that should have just gone straight to Peacock, yikes, people.
Kidding. You are not kidding one bit.
The Black Phone is currently on Peacock, and that dropped from 10 to 15. If you haven't seen it yet, spend some time and watch it. Jurassic World dropped from 11 to 17 and is now on Blu-ray. Miss Harris Goes to Paris, 13 to 18. Vengeance, 12 to 19. Marcel the Cell with the Shoes On jumped actually from dropped from 14 to 21. Dragon Rising 15 to 23.
We can call it there. There's nothing else to talk about.
Well, hang on. Where is it? Where are you? Come out wherever you are.
Hit Control F.
Where's Morbius?
Hit Control F.
Yeah.
Type in Morbius.
Control F.
Your find function. Now you have to type into the little search box that came up.
No search box came up.
You hit control. Are you selected on that screen?
Yeah,
Yeah, hit Control F again.
I did.
Try it
Stop
again.
yelling
for
at me.
Just try it again for me.
I did 3 times already.
There
Fuck
should
it.
be a box that shows up.
It
Again,
didn't.
it's
Why?
the find function.
I know, but it's not. I can't believe in 54 movies, nothing fucking. I can't find Morbius anywhere. You know what? Screw it. Moving on to the worldwide.
Presumably, you can find it here.
Presumably. Let's see.
Well, now you're too far down.
Oh my god. There it is. Okay, movie's currently better than Morbius. The Lost City at number 16 at 190 million.
Hey,
Nice
the black phone has an outside shot. No, it doesn't. Too many. That's too far.
And it's on Peacock now.
Yeah. Black
Nice,
phone, but...
nice views at 211. Too Cool to Kill 217. Lightyear 225. The Bad Guys 245.
Lightyear desperately justifying its own existence. We are definitely better
than Morbius.
Morbius.
The Bad Guys at 245. Elvis 262. And then we jump into the top 10 movies currently doing better than Morbius. 4017, Uncharted, 4018, Sonic, 405, Fantastic Beasts, 626, Watergate Bridge, Thor: Love and Thunder, 721, The Batman, 770, Minions rising up the chart at 791.
Oh, hang on. Thor is probably not going to beat the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Wrap your head
Probably
around
not.
that one.
Yeah. Doctor Strange at 954, Jurassic World at 974, and currently your number 1 movie worldwide in the year of our Lord 2022, Top Gun Maverick.
By a wide margin. Look at that difference.
Yeah.
Look at the difference between number 1 and number 2 there. Your difference is what, $400 million, give or take?
Yep. And really not until we get to October, November, and December is there going to be anything that's even remotely close. And even at that, like I'm thinking about Black Adam. Maybe.
Nope.
Yeah.
Black Adam's not going to beat that. Avatar's not going to... I don't think anything's going to beat it.
Hang on. Let me look at my calendar real quick. So looking at just what I have on the calendar currently, in October, the only movie that even... We're talking outside shot, okay?
Okay.
The only movies that have an outside shot. Black Adam in the month of October. Nothing else. Everything else is... like Halloween or like half of the shit I don't even have like in theater movies. It's all streaming stuff. Okay, so now we move to November. Black Panther. No, that thing's good. I don't think it's gonna bomb, but it's not gonna do well. They're not as well as they think it's gonna do because it's missing the one thing that made people want to go to that movie in the first place.
Yep.
And then there's nothing else here. Like we're doing She Said in the Menu, but whatever. Strange World, no, like it'll do okay. I think I don't want to be Chris Bailey about the whole thing, but it's not going to do $1 billion. That brings us to December, which the big December movies are Avatar and Shazam.
Nope.
So nothing. This is it. We're done, people. Year is over.
Hand that trophy to Top Gun Maverick and let James Cameron sit on it and rotate.
Sounds like a plan, Stan. As far as what's going on next week, we're going to review. We're kind of cleaning out the closet of streaming movies for the past couple of weeks. But if you're looking to see something in theaters, and I will be on a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods in North Carolina, so otherwise we would have done this one. I would have made a point to do this. But there's Beast. That's about it. I think Beast will do okay. I think it has an outside shot of being the number 1 movie of the weekend, but
yeah.
But I think that's in the absence of any real competition. The following week we've got The Invitation, which for those of you into horror, I know Alexis was interested in this. We're not covering it unless she does it separately without me, but it's there. There's Breaking, and then there's 3,000 Years of Longing, which weirdly...
I am so interested in that movie.
I almost put that on the schedule, but I'd rather do Samaritan instead. So, and that's that is on Amazon Prime. Hang on, I can be convinced. Let me.
No. Look, it's that. Don't worry about it.
You're being ridiculous. Let me look.
Dude, you've made hold on. Stop. Listen to me for 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
You made a giant push to reduce your level of podcasting. I make one sarcastic comment about this, and you're immediately like, "No, please let me find another spot to do another podcast."
No. I would have. We can double up if you want. I can double up with Samaritan and 3,000 Years of Longing. I feel like I have time to see it that weekend. If that's something
don't
you
worry
want.
about it.
Okay, moving on. I'm not gonna twist your arm.
I don't have to podcast about every movie I see.
Movie, yes, correct. And that's August. So, like, the big movie. I mean, yes, 3,000 Years of Longing is something that I was remotely interested in also. But the one I want to talk about, especially because I want to have Pat on, is Samaritan, which is the new Sylvester Stallone superhero movie that's going direct to Amazon Prime. So we're doing that instead. And then that gets us into September, where the wide releases are Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. So yeah, we're into Fuck You. It's September.
Ooh, wait. There's a Jaws re-release. Hell yeah.
Okay, I have to take my kids to that. September 9th.
Really like Jaws on the big screen is an experience.
Yeah. We got a couple of wide releases here. We got Medieval, Barbarian, and that's about it. Then we move to September 16th, I believe. The wide releases are Pearl, which is the like prequel to X, and God's Country, and The Woman King. That's going to be the big one for that weekend. It may. I don't think it's
going.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to make any money, but it might actually win that weekend, just in the absence of any real like competition.
That's going to be the one that spawns a billion think pieces about why it bombed.
And then that looks like it's it for the month of September. Hang on, go back up. Afro Circus. 16th. Okay, the 23rd. You know what? Let's just go to my calendar. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have anything on the 23rd of any value.
Look, there's an Avatar re-release. It's the 20th anniversary.
September 9th, there's something that we're actually reviewing. Go back. Where is it? Where is Dark Harvest? I have Dark Harvest on the list. Oh, this might be it then. Untitled new line horror film.
That sounds about right.
Hang on, let me double check that. I like occasionally I'll go back through and make sure that like things haven't moved on me. Dark Harvest. No, it's MGM. But it's still slated for September 9th.
Well, anyway, we'll see. We'll do something.
We'll figure out something to watch. Jesus Christ. All right. So that is the money for now. All right. With that said, here we go with the critical.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this one.
The critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All righty. I don't have it up. That's what she said. All right. Of course. But of course, the critics gave this a fresh rating of 93%. It has an audience score of 78%, which means people liked it, but, meh. The critical consensus.
We have once again reached a point at which critics think they like something because they should like it, whereas the audience is more honest.
Yeah. The rare action thriller that spikes adrenaline without skimping on character development. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Let's
just eat a dick. Oh my God.
Whole bag of them. Just cram them in there and swirl them around.
Like a box of cigars. Just all in your mouth. Prey is a Predator prequel done right.
You know what? No. This got floated on the internet. Okay? The internet came up with this. Here's a better idea for a prequel. Set it in feudal Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the guy who played Scorpion in the Mortal Kombat remake. He was actually in Bullet Train. I forget his name.
Mm-hmm.
But you have him play like the lone survivor of the massacre of the shogun that he serves. And he spends his time in disgrace figuring out how to hunt these things he follows it as it attacks another imperial family. Better idea than what they came up with here.
The audience says if you can look past some dodgy effects, Prey is pretty much the back to basics Predator installment fans have been waiting years to see.
That's more accurate than not. Like, that's more accurate than the critical consensus.
All right. TT Stern NZ of WXIX-TV Cincinnati,
no,
Ohio.
It's not. No, it's not.
I haven't even read it yet, you dickface.
I have. I'm just getting it out of the way.
It's a fascinating film. Now
this
go.
Film is opposite of fascinating. You idiot. There is nothing that engenders that level of interest in this film. Nothing. This is not fascinating. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing groundbreaking. There's nothing that hooks you. Stop it.
This is the most virtue signaling movie of this year so far. Like, I'm now just realizing, because I honestly hadn't been paying that close attention to it. I've got other stuff going on in my world. So I'm just now like reading some of these. And I'm like, oh, all the critics are tripping over themselves to be like, yay, Indian girl movie. It's the best.
They kill the evil, unwashed, fat, hairy Frenchman. While all the Comanche look like underwear models.
Ty Burr of Ty Burr's Watch List. For my money, it's the best since the original.
Yeah, your money means dick. This isn't even as good as Predator 2 by any reasonable metric.
Alejandro Elman of El Universal. Prey is the best Predator movie after the original.
It's not. This is not the only guy who's going to say this. I beg of you who potentially hold this opinion, go rewatch Predator 2.
Mike
and then
Scott
tell me you still believe that.
Mike Scott of the Times-Picayune. For the first time since the Reagan administration, the Predator series delivers.
I don't think that's true. You got to at least get to Clinton. But still, it's a long time. Like, the crux of the point that we've been a long time before having even a watchable. Like, that's true.
I went to go see Anthrax last Friday with Hatebreed and Black Label Society in Orlando, and it was the 40th anniversary of Anthrax. And I put up the stuff that I shot on my phone and the pictures I took on Instagram. And my friend commented, he was like, holy shit, are you serious? 40 years? He was like, that comment makes my leg have arthritis. Yeah, we're that old. Speaking of that old, Omar Homar of Black Nerd Problems. Prey is my favorite movie, and I can see Russia from my house.
Hang on. Favorite Predator movie, not favorite movie of all time. I will give this idiot enough credence to not
That's
believe
not a
it.
review, though. That's not
it's not.
Review.
Like, it's not. Like, I can't control what you like and what you don't like. That's not helpful. Boy, it's my favorite entry. It's my favorite movie in this franchise. That doesn't help.
No.
How does a self-serving blog like that wind up here?
I just want to read this one because of the name of it. Says in Kohler of Black Girl Nerds. You know, can I just say that everyone whose tag thing now is my minority description plus the word nerd, please smash your face with a frying pan. Just fucking hit yourself.
Let's go play in traffic.
Until
go play
it
in
stops.
traffic and see what happens.
Oh my god. We're gonna start a site, it's called fucking Comanche Trans Nerds. I just like as many fucking descriptors as I can throw in there. Indigenous. Indigenous Comanche Trans Nerds.
No, just Indigenous Trans Nerds.
Okay, Indigenous Trans Nerds. Got it. Fucking hate you people.
Assuming look, that domain has probably already been taken, but if it hasn't, you should take it.
Adonis Gonzalez of the Young Folks. Prey turns the franchise on its head and delivers a surprisingly emotional and epic story. There's nothing epic about this.
There's nothing epic. There's damn sure nothing emotional. Like, the only thing I cared about by the time this movie wrapped up was if they killed the dog. Everything else was nothing.
Noel Murray of the Los Angeles Times, former newspaper, top critic. A Predator story should have well-crafted and excitingly staged scenes of humans fighting an alien. This picture has plenty.
No. That's not... No. You idiots.
Oh, this is great. You ready?
Yes.
Diego Battle of atrocines.com, a film with lots of feminist Western and just a tad of sci-fi.
That's barely a sentence. Are you sure English is your first language?
It's funny.
And I don't mean that unkindly. Like, if that's a badly translated sentence, then blame the translator. But that's a bad sentence in English.
Maddie Lucas of From the Front Row, as opposed to From the Cheap Seats. A beautiful, bone-crushing piece of work that is not only the best Predator sequel, it is a fascinating example of how to reframe and continue a beloved franchise without resorting to mere fan service or naked nostalgia.
Oh, get bent!
And I would like to add to that, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
We're really going to pretend that this movie was not just dripping with nostalgia. Like, this is a nostalgia bait film, fundamentally.
Okay.
Second, this is not a fascinating example of how to continue a beloved IP. It's really not. Look at the people who are praising this up and down. How many of them are actually fans of the Predator franchise? None. I guarantee you none of them, because if they were, they could actually tell you the original backstory to that flintlock pistol that Danny Glover gets in the set in Predator 2. It was told in a pretty kick-ass, actually, Dark Horse comic that's so much better than this movie.
Joe Fry of Fort Worth Report has not seen any movies this year. Amber Midthunder and the authentic indigenous cast take the prequel to the next level, delivering the best sci-fi film of the year of our Lord 2022.
This is not a person who watches film.
No.
This is not a person who watches movies.
I'm not even sure this is a real reviewer. I'm pretty sure they got a homeless guy to write something.
I saw an all-indigenous cast, and therefore I must throw every conceivable how insulting is that? I mean that in all sincerity. Like, how insulting is it to just look? Oh boy, you found him. All right. All right.
Hey, Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies. Where you going, punk? It's a nice jacket you got on. I'm cold over here.
Let me hold $1.
Give me your jacket, fat guy at the movies.
Come on, just let me hold $1 for you.
Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movie, says, while it doesn't break new ground, this action thriller goes back to the basics that made the original Predator work.
No, I'm gonna go with a not really here. That said, like there's an underlying kind of key to what he's touching on here, that some of the sequels got way too far away from what these films should be, and that's very true.
Yeah.
This one does not, however, return to the form and the fundamental kind of the essence of film that made the first one work. You couldn't tell me anything about any of these characters, but not the way you could the original cast.
The future ex-Mrs. Johns is not here to save you. She's not here for you to hide in her skirt, Jeremy. Jeremy Johns, we hate you. Of JeremyJohns.com. We hate you. This movie celebrates what made Predator great while making its own story. And this is why we hate you, Jeremy Johns. And Alexis is not here to protect you this time.
Yeah. What about this is its own story? Like, I mean that in all sincerity. What about this is unique when compared to the first one?
Oh, for fuck's sake. This is the last one I'm going to read because this is so stupid. All
right.
Sean Collier of Pittsburgh Magazine. The Predator fights a bear. It is therefore a good movie.
You know, I would insult you, but you write for Pittsburgh Magazine, and there's nothing I can say that would hurt you.
All right. Next week, The Gray Man. The week after that, Samaritan, and that kills the month of August for us.
Oh, The Gray Man sucked.
Oh, boy. I can't wait to talk about it with you then.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
It sucks. It's not good.
I believe you.
It's not good.
Metal Hammer of Doom has the week off instead. We are back to from the corner to the deuce, the great works of David Simon. We are finally starting our 5-month journey through The Wire. It's come to this. It's the main event. I finally get to spend an hour talking about just season. I mean, I've already done this once with you. We did an Everyone Loves a Bad Guy on the Wire years ago, which is now in the archives on this feed. But this is the first time I get to break it down season by season. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. My wife is getting her hair did at Jackie's house this Thursday, and I was like, I can't miss this show. Like if I put this show off, Jesse will beat me to death, and I don't really want to. So like I'm going there, but I'm like we're gonna delay for an hour till 11 o'clock is when we'll start recording, because we usually go that late anyway when we do Metal Hammer of Doom. But I will be leaving this woman's house like a bat out of hell, like Batman, like at 10 o'clock on the dot, so I can get home and do this. I am not putting this off another month or whatever. We have to get this done, and I'm going away this weekend. So like if I wanted to, what the fuck? If I wanted to, I couldn't change things anyway. But I just wanted to share that with you. In any case, yes, we will be talking season 1 of The Wire this Thursday at 11 o'clock for those of you who would like to see if I break down and cry again. I'll tell you, I'm not as emotional about The Wire as I was about The Corner. The Corner really brings it out of me. The Wire, I just love. I think it's perfect. So I will be, pantslessly gushing about my favorite TV show of all time. I know for people, longtime listeners, I'll be like, he finally gets to talk about his thing. He's talked about so many things, but this is his thing that he gets to talk about. So I'm excited.
You've kind of talked about it in an ancillary format so long under so many other pretense. I don't think you're going to have anything new to say. I'm
going to come up with something, or I'll just
look. You expect this to go for an hour. I'm going to bet that like Jesse just lets you talk for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, like, well, I've said everything positive there is to say about this. Plugs.
Jesse's going to have a list. like the casual heroes.
You know what? I hope he does. Jesse, if you're listening to this, I want you to come up with some kind of top 10 things related to The Wire that you can count down. Make it a stupid list too.
And then that's it for the week. We're into the 2 shows a week. We're into 2 shows a week era of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So check out our other shows like Source Material. Jesse's always got some good stuff up. He alternates that with Unspoken Issues. Sean's still doing his games podcast, so check those out. And hey, go into the archives. Don't even listen to the other shows. Just listen. Well, listen to this one, but don't listen to the other shows. Go into the archive. Go to the playlist. Just listen to the Metal Hammer of Doom extras. I talk about nude resorts. I talk about burlesque shows. I talk about what else did I talk about? I talk about nude beaches. My son got imprinted upon by Robert Cooper, and they talked about anime. All of these have been cut up and made into TikToks by now. Which, by the way, did you see? My dad has a new TikTok.
I saw that you linked something. I did not click on it.
Oh, go when you were done here. Go immediately click on that link.
Just put it up. We're right here. Just play it right now.
All right, hang on. Give me you do your plugs. Ramble on for a couple of minutes while I figure this out.
All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. As usual, I host another podcast. That's the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. So if you're interested in the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts, I record that late Sunday evening. The latest episode is a review of last week's event and a preview of this upcoming UFC 278, which is taking place about an hour away from where I live. But I will not be attending as press because I do not have a laptop, tablet, or anything else that I could otherwise use to provide coverage live from the event. So sadly, I will have to wait for the next time they come to Salt Lake, and then hopefully by then have one of those devices. I cover professional wrestling a few nights a week over at 411mania.com, AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday, MLW when they release stuff on Thursday, and WWE SmackDown on Friday. SmackDown, the whole WWE, amazing. In like a matter of weeks, you get rid of Vince McMahon, and suddenly the weekly television becomes somewhat watchable.
Yeah, well, now that I don't podcast on Mondays, I might actually go back to watching it again. All right, here it is. The whole reason everyone tuned in tonight. Who cares about fucking Prey? You have to listen to my dad's crazy TikTok. You ready?
All right, I'm gonna regret this.
You really are. This is awful in all the great ways. This is great in all the awful ways.
I don't believe awful in all the great ways. I do not believe that's a thing.
Okay, this is Christopher Radulich on Freedom in Florida.
Well, welcome to Florida. DeSantis is landing, as he says on his commercials, freedom! Yes, you have freedom here in Florida. We opened up with the during the pandemic, and by God, we did it. We went right to the top. We killed more people than any other state per 100,000. We were able to
That's not accurate.
open to allow you to die and to allow you to kill other people. Freedom!
One more time.
Hey, we have freedom!
There he is.
There we go. Unless, of course, you say something that pisses off DeSantis, and then he's going to use the power of the state to take away anything he can, as when he took away Andrew Warren's job, our state attorney, also known as a DA up north, as he took away special districts from Disney because they weren't going to discriminate against gay people. Yes, we have freedom. You have freedom when you want your people to go to school.
Freedom?
You have freedom not to say gay.
Freedom?
Yes.
Freedom to remove
I can see
books
your
from
daughter
the library
dying.
that hurt your sensitivities and may actually show two males or two females holding hands. The world is going to come to an end, but you have the freedom to take away these books.
What is that word again?
Freedom!
Freedom?
You have
Freedom?
You have freedom unless, of course, you own a business and actually want to stay alive, and then you can't wear masks. You can't force other people to wear masks to come into your private business because we have freedom.
Freedom!
Freedom.
Hey, please stop
No.
this.
Freedom! No! Say it!
And we have more freedom.
This is going to get us demonetized more
what
than
kind of freedom do we
anything
have,
else you've
Father?
ever.
Oh, you have the freedom to. What made me lose my thought? But you have the freedom here to go out and soon to carry a weapon anywhere you want, concealed, and just generally kill people. I mean, we went away from that in the Wild West. We actually, and those towns took away your guns while you were there because they didn't want to get killed. Hey, but we have freedom here.
I could see your soul dying. What's left of it?
So remember all these precious freedoms. And soon, if we allow him to stay in office,
Freedom!
we'll have freedom to make sure that women.
That is
carry
your wife walking to
pregnancies
get a
their
divorce.
term, whether or not they want to, whether or not it may kill them. That won't matter.
I have one question.
Yes.
Will this rant be done in 15 minutes or an hour?
Back. Get it. Call it back in an hour. Back.
But we have freedom. Well, welcome to Florida. DeSantis' land, and as he says,
Can I just go now? Are we done?
You're desperately trying to. You don't want. You're desperately like, okay, please, Robert, don't hit me. Like that. That's the vibe I'm getting from you right now. Like, you can feel it coming.
This would be the first time a podcast was done in punch around.
Hang on. You're on that side, so if I go, I go like this.
Wait, I gotta go to the other way. Do it again.
Hang on. Yeah.
Fucking knock me off screen like Captain Marvel.
Don't. Just.
I'm sorry, that was the best.
All right, so that was essentially my plugs. And the other thing I do, I cover UFC action over in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com. Last week, UFC on ESPN 41. This coming week, UFC 278. So if you're interested, please do tune in for that. We'll be back here next week where I will talk about the Gray Man and why it sucks.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. You notice I changed your name again?
Yep.
That's the best show ever. Be well, be safe, and freedom.